It's a great verb sometimes.
I see it almost comes out.
It's a great verb.
I love that word.
I'm into it.
I know.
My mom hates it.
By the way, so does mine.
Gosh.
Still to this day, my parents, if I'll say a word, it's like, they can't stand when I cuss.
My mother said.
Lance Barber, who portrayed George in Young Sheldon, reunited with Doc Farrow, Coach Wilkins, ahead of Farrow's appearance in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. The emotional departure of George in the Young Sheldon finale marked a poignant moment for the Cooper family, emphasizing George's redemption arc compared to his initial portrayal in The Big Bang Theory. The reunion photo of Barber, now sporting a beard and different hair, highlights his enduring off-screen bond with Farrow. As Coach Wilkins returns to the franchise, his character's role offers an opportunity to explore George's legacy outside his family. Barber remains open to reprising his role creatively, potentially through flashbacks or dream sequences, as the franchise continues to honor George's impact. Unrecognizable George actor reunites with his Young Sheldon best friend ahead of first marriage debut. Months after George's death in Young Sheldon, Lance Barber is unrecognizable as he reunites with Coach Wilkins actor, Doc Farrow, ahead of his appearance on Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Unlike the sitcom norm, the Young Sheldon finale opened with a heavily emotional time for the Coopers with the loss of their patriarch. George's death was long established in The Big Bang Theory, and it contributed to Sheldon's story in the flagship series. That said, by the time his demise happened in the prequel, Young Sheldon had already redeemed the character, making it extra difficult to see him go. Coach Wilkins' portrayer, Doc Farrow, posts an image with the caption that reveals his enduring off-screen friendship with Barber. Barber is seen sporting different colored hair and with a beard. The adorable reunion photo was taken ahead of Farrow's confirmed appearance on Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Check out the snap below. Why Coach Wilkins is secretly important to George's Young Sheldon arc. When George was introduced on Young Sheldon, he already had a bad reputation because Sheldon and Mary consistently shared negative stories about him on The Big Bang Theory. However, the prequel could not simply paint the character as a one-dimensional person, so it started to flesh him out. The problem was, by doing so, Young Sheldon contradicted the established canon, as its version of George was far from the no-use father and husband that Sheldon and his mom depicted him as. As a co-worker and friend, Coach Wilkins represented the Cooper family patriarch's life outside his responsibilities at home. Admittedly, Young Sheldon didn't get to fully explore George's life separate from his wife and kids. There were moments of him hanging out with his friends, but that became infrequent as the show went on. That being said, it was Coach Wilkins and Principal Peterson who delivered the news of George's death to his family in Young Sheldon's penultimate episode. It was a reminder that although the series didn't get to show them all the time, their bond remained until the end. Now, Coach Wilkins is due to return for Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Our take on Barber's possible return as George and Georgie and Mandy's first marriage. Barber has been spotted a couple of times since Young Sheldon ended back in May 2024. Despite not having any confirmed appearances on screen, he even attended the filming for Georgie and Mandy's first marriage's special Thanksgiving episode, which featured the return of Mary, Meemaw, and Missy. This only proved that he maintains a good relationship with his former co-workers. While the actor played a different role in The Big Bang Theory, it's highly doubtful that creator Chuck Lorre would bring Barber back to play a new character, considering how synonymous he has become with the Cooper patriarch. This doesn't mean, however, that he can never return to the franchise. There are various ways to incorporate George into the universe after he died in Young Sheldon. He cannot come back in a full-time capacity because he can't play any role other than Sheldon's late father without it being divisive from the get-go. Barber could reprise his beloved role, however, in a flashback or even a dream. Whatever way they choose, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage would have to be more creative when featuring him again. As tragic as it was for the Coopers to lose their patriarch just as he was on the cusp of having his dream life, George's subsequent funeral episode is arguably the best in the Big Bang Theory franchise. In any case, Barber himself said that while he is willing to return as George and Georgie in Mandy's first marriage, he will only do so if Lorre and his team find a way to bring the character back without cheapening his demise. As tragic as it was for the Coopers to lose their patriarch just as he was on the cusp of having his dream life, George's subsequent funeral episode is arguably the best in The Big Bang. What Coach Wilkins' Georgie and Mandy's first marriage return means for George's legacy. Georgie and Mandy's first marriage has explored the Cooper family's grief a few times in its brief run thus far, with separate focuses on Georgie, Mary, and even Missy. That said, the perspective of losing George has come from his family. Currently, it's unclear what brings Coach Wilkins back, but since this is the first time he will appear post-young Sheldon, his involvement in an upcoming episode could offer a new angle on what George's death means to people outside his immediate clan. Coach Wilkins' appearance offers Georgie and Mandy's first marriage a chance to establish what George's other life was aside from being a family man. As a co-worker, Sheldon's dad worked closely with Farrow throughout his time as a football coach at Medford High School in young Sheldon. Perhaps Coach Wilkins could share fun anecdotes about his late friend for a cathartic moment. Mayim Bialik was starstruck by The Big Bang Theory guest star. Chuck Lorre and Bill Prade's 2007 sitcom The Big Bang Theory was hotly contested when it was on the air. In the early 2000s, certain kinds of geek interests moved from the cultural fringe directly into the mainstream, and previously derided niche interests like Dungeons & Dragons, comic books, long-form video games, astronomy, trivia, and fantasy in general all became widely accepted as a new entertainment zeitgeist. New kinds of kid-acceptable pop artists came to be canonized. The geek ecosystem was widespread and easily available to any curious takers. The Big Bang Theory, however, was lambasted by some viewers for its inaccurate portrayals of modern-day geeks. The characters on Big Bang were all scientists or intellectuals, and they all loved Star Wars, comic books, and RPGs, but they didn't talk the way geeks talked, nor did they organically celebrate geek culture. The Big Bang Theory relied too heavily on outdated dweeb stereotypes left over from 1984's Revenge of the Nerds, and didn't do enough to update its own ethos to match reality. But, despite the criticism, the show was hugely successful. Hugely successful. Successful enough to retain high ratings for 12 straight seasons. And, accurate or not, certain legitimate giants of the geek world appeared on the show for cameos, usually just to make the main characters squirm in excitement. Stan Lee, Stephen Hawking, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Bill Nye, Steve Wozniak, Nathan Fillion, George Takei, Leonard Nimoy, Will Wheaton, LeVar Burton, Brent Spiner, Carrie Fisher, James Earl Jones, and Buzz Aldrin all appeared. Mayim Bialik played the character Amy Farrah Fowler on The Big Bang Theory starting in its third season, and she had the honor of working with Most High.